It's your boy Flango. We are gonna keep this one short because, yep. But, what can you do? So, I don't know, let's make a new deck. We'll give some, we'll just talk, we'll rant. Um, yeah, so you guys are all looking for tournament decks. Maybe I'll start doing some deck showcases. I'll throw together a deck and be like, I would take this to the tournament, but it needs to be teched a little bit more. I don't want to give anybody like a complete deck. I want to play the role of deck builder, but I don't want to be like, look, 99% of the player base is going to play this deck. So, I don't want to ruin any tournaments. Half the fun is that everyone's got their own ideas in their head, and then you bring a deck to the tournament, and then you're like, oh, turns out everyone was playing aggro, or it turns out everyone was playing Azrael, or however that card's supposed to be pronounced. Okay. Anyways, yeah, my cards aren't loading very fast. I just don't get good connection to the domain servers. Don't know why. Um, what's a sort of thing I can rant about? Okay, let's talk about tech cards. I know I've kind of talked about Tech King, but let's talk about some good cards that are splashable in all the decks. Okay, so Barrier's the first one. Barrier's really good defensively, it's very good offensively, against any deck that you think is going to try to do like a one-turn kill type thing, or against any deck that's going to be hitting you. Oh, sorry. Against any deck that's going to be hitting you for a lot of damage, like 20 or something at a time, maybe you run Barrier, because that's 40 health for 20 mana. That's pretty good. I mean, it'd be interesting to have the stats on how much damage one mana is usually ends up being worth, like how long cards end up living. It obviously depends on the deck, but I think 40 health for 20 mana is really good. Um, it's also, means your opponent, if they're down to like one or two cards, or if they don't have very many attackers, basically shuts them down. They can't kill you very quickly, so now their only game plan is run away, get more cards to get rid of the barrier. So it's very good in aggressive decks where the opponent might, oh, sorry, where the opponent might turn the game around, and you're like, nope, you're not gonna, right? So Barrier is a great card to swing the match in your favor. Sludge is another one, guarantees hits, and really good against Dually Kings. Um, these two cards specifically, along with this one I guess, are like the bane of Bog Dweller decks, for example. People don't really run them because usually decks are pretty tight, blah blah blah. But you could take out an extra card from your win con. Like, too many people go too deep into their win con, I find. Like, whenever I look at a deck, and I think this is normal in the deck building process, the first unrefined deck always has too many combo pieces, right? So there's always too much payoff, or too many enablers, or too much of both. But there's never like these tech cards like Sludge, Barrier, Wings, because your enablers and your payoff become deadbeat cards once you've actually hit your combo. But then you just hope that your combo is better than other people's combos, which, it's not unless you have the actual best combo in the game. So instead, what you can do is you can take out some enablers and stuff, and you can run Sludge, which will slow down your opponent's combo, let you kill their combo pieces, let you kill their king, and help close out games, help turn around games. Same thing with Barrier. Exactly the same thing. Play the Barrier. That enables you to play more aggressively. And by aggressively, I don't even necessarily mean hit the king. I mean like go into places where you normally could not, right? If you're being like if there's a whole bunch of enemy minions that are controlling the board in a certain area, Barrier says, "No, you don't have board control. I'm over here now." And that can be really useful because it lets you spawn creatures there, which then also removes their board control. Like you can do the whole Geomancer. I'm assuming there's a creature here and here and you're here, right? You'll lose your barrier, but you can pop Geomancer, run away, kill everything, etc., etc., right? Um, Plus that barrier probably let you go in and hit the card that's here, or whatever, right? So yeah, barrier helps turn around losing situations really well. It also helps you get board control back. And then obviously it's a good finisher, blah blah blah, right? Another good card that you can just tech into your deck. Wings, if your opponent has a mobile king, now they don't, right? Super good. Combos really well with force, which I'll be talking about later, but if you have force, you'll never get hit by a wings card. Unless they also have force. Okay. Yeah, you can run cards like Explosion as well, as long as you can tank 20 damage. I don't really like it because it's kind of just like you have to tank 20 damage, but whatever. It's runnable. Another card that's underused that's a good tech card is Flash, right? Flash allows you to make sure that your opponent can't hit you, right? At least not with like, oh, it's actually just attack now. So yeah, they can't swing at you. Obviously they'll still be able to move, right? But it's still very very strong. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be yawning in this video. It's still very very strong against stuff like Bog Dweller, where maybe you don't need to sludge them because there's no escape or whatever, or maybe you just need a turn of safety, right? Flash can be an underrated card in my opinion. What else can you just splash into your deck here that I think is good? I mean Wraithblade, although you can't really. Nah. Exchange, to be honest. Okay, so Exchange has a couple benefits. First of all, if a card is going to die, you can say, hey, I want a lot of mana. And that can be really useful. Now, it is a big tempo loss to play Exchange, but what can you do? I mean, it's not the end of the world to lose a turn in some decks. Some decks really, really can't lose any turns, but some decks can do it. So, you know, Exchange is a techable card. And the other thing that people will tell you is that it does actually help as a dark deal counter. Okay, and that's because Dark Deal summons a creature for you, and then on the next turn they usually steal it. But if you exchange it, you can kill it, they can't do anything, and then you get the mana. So, that's good. What else do we have? That's kinda it for, like, super good splashes in spells. All-Seeing Eye would be a really cool card. In a tournament setting where it's best of 3 and they can't switch decks, you should never run All-Seeing Eye because you're already going to be like knowing what they own, pretty much. There will be times, I think, like metas that will allow for All-Seeing Eye to be a thing. I think it really needs a bit of a buff though. It should be like see an opponent's hand, make them discard a card. But I think then they would have to, it'd have to be buffed. I mean, like the cost would have to be increased. But yeah, something like All-Seeing Eye is a card. I just don't think it'll improve your win rate in the tournament, but I think it has real potential. Okay, yeah, so that's enough for the spells. Let's look at a couple units, but... Okay. So, for units. Obviously every mana card is a tech card. It's not, but, every mana card is important. Okay, Swamp Terror. If you are looking at, like, there's too many people who are using crystals, well, Swamp Terror's got your problem solved. If you're like a no terrain deck. It does a lot of damage, it regens, it outduels everything, it's great. Just play this card. If you're looking for like, the other one is obviously Castle Knight. You can run 2 of Castle Knight. Excellent card, but I wouldn't say it's a tech, I just think it's a card that people should run. Like, most optimized decks are going to find that they want Castle Knight. That's what I'm gonna say. Obviously you can run a card from a terrain that you think is being overused, so if water decks are everywhere, run Fabulous, and they've got a 14 damage bomb that actually survives everything, right? Admittedly, Castle Knight is a 12 damage bomb, not that far behind, but I digress. So yeah, you can run something that has bonus, like Skeleton Warrior, right? On Wasteland, that's 33. So if you're against me, you know I'm running Wasteland Control. Obviously, I'm not going to be in the tournament, but you know. Man, pick up some Skeleton Warriors. It's a good investment. You get 33 damage burst when I'm on my terrain, which I will be, you know. Obviously, it's 33 later on. Earlier, it's not as much, but Skeleton Warrior, amazing value. I wouldn't really say Illusionist is a tech card. It can be. So, there are decks that want to be an Illusionist because they have low health. Think kings like Lurker, like the Shadow Lurker. I think that's his name, Shadow Lurker. Yeah, this card. He's only got 41 HP. He regens a lot, but and not Death from Beyond, Deep Space Warrior. Same idea. He's got very little HP. You know what you can run? You can run Illusionist, and she will make you live a lot longer. So that's kind of cool. The other thing you can do is play her as like a warp. So there's lots of decks that want that, but it's like a warp that also makes you live longer and it's free. And I mean it's only 50% chance warp, but usually it's good enough. So yeah, I think Illusionist is a card that is kind of playable, splashable. I wouldn't say there's like any matchups that you should specifically tech against. I can see like a deck that sort of focuses on one single unit, like it runs Sludge, right? And it tries to kill you with Sludge. And so if you have Illusionist, then that kind of shuts it down. So I don't think it's like a bad card at all. I think I probably have a cool concept for an all-in deck, but that will be for another day. But yeah, I'm gonna recommend Illusionist, and like so all of these cards that I'm talking about, right? You're allowed to change decks between tournament games, or not games, but matches. So you know, tech your deck. I mean, I don't believe that you should be allowed to like spectate your future opponent's matches and see what deck they're running, because they can't always do that to you. But if you know what they're playing or whatever, right? If you know like, oh, I'm up against Ball of Dark, he's gonna run Undying because that's all he's ever run. To be honest, I don't even know if he does, but I think that's the one he runs. But yeah, you find someone, you're like, oh, I played against them on ladder. They're running this. Well, pick out one of these tech cards, put it in your deck, man. Not too bad. Okay. Any other tech cards? I mean, I think you should just run Geomancer. I think most optimized decks will. Part of the reason why I like to play Wasteland Control is that Geomancer is just such a strong card, and other decks that aren't even in Wasteland run him. I'm super unsure about what I think of Kaze now that I know this Tornado does 20 on Wasteland. He might just be OP. We'll see. Kaze might be splashable. Probably not, though. I think that's the last of the cards I'm gonna recommend. As splashable tech cards, I think that's pretty good. Another thing that you can run, this is a heavy tech. I don't even know if I have it. What's the... Yeah, Voidbringer. So, oh, it's only yours. Never mind. Okay, I'm not gonna recommend that one. So yeah, that's gonna be my... Okay, final tech card. sort by cost. Decaying Mummy. For 0 cost, you can win the Undying matchup. That's literally what it does. You kill an Undying creature, or they kill their own Undying creatures with, like, Burial, for example. Decaying Mummy. GG. I own your deck now. It's a little bit harder. Like, obviously, Decaying Mummy dies eventually, and you probably can't heal it. I might actually say Necromancer is way better, because the King Mummy sort of plays into their playstyle. Necro doesn't. So yeah, I'm gonna say play Necromancer instead, actually. But yeah, I own your deck. Everything that dies, if I kill it, I revive it. Not you. That's so strong, right? You can just like one of a Necromancer and all of a sudden Undying. Like, again, if you're playing against Ball, right? And you're like, oh, he only ever plays Undying. And again, I don't know if that's even the case. Then you're like, alright, let's just pull out a Necromancer, put him in the deck. That's all I got to say. So yeah, this has been How to Tech. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you are now ready to tech yourselves against the metagame that you think will happen. Thanks for watching.